All right, good evening. This is the time and place for the Tioga City Commission meeting for February 2024. We can call them to order and then do the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God.
All right, thank you. All right, commissioners have an opportunity to look at the minutes for February 5th.
I made a motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for February 5th, 2024. No questions, comments, concerns, and board will the vote.
Yes.
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 All right, so moves. Commissioner reports, Tim.
I don't have a lot. Jeff is trying to get all his loose ends tied up. He's ready to go out. He had to call him and get this report for the water tower. I haven't had a chance to see it. But sounds like there's a few repairs. I'll have some more.
Actually, their recommendation. I apologize. I read through the report and the recommendation is to fix any of the corrections. Into 20.
And we got Fred and Ray Wood started by getting trained. That's going good. Guys busy doing that. We got a pickup that's got some problems. We'll have something for you on that. Probably gotta be out. Everybody's got a truck. That's what all I got.
All right, thanks. Yes.
Yes, we've had a little vehicle issues ourselves. Other than that, everything's good. I do have something on the agenda, so we'll go from there.
All right.
I have nothing at this time.
Awesome. All right, modifications and approval of agenda. I have a couple of things that are here on my desk for to add. One of them is a 90-day evaluation and raise recommendation for Officer Oster for the police department. And another one is the sign for an estimate for a sign for I believe the community center. That's not for the community.
Oh, those are snow route signs for the city of Tioga.
Okay. Oh, no route signs right there. Okay. All right. So if approved, that's going to be number 11 and 12, 13 and 14. Under new business.
I'll move to approve the agenda with the additions.
All right, with a motion and a second to approve with the addition, no questions, comments?
Yes.
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 All right, so moves. Quick update. There's going to be an equalization meeting scheduled for April 15th, 2024 at 5:30 here in this room. There will be no commission on March 18th, 2024 due to City Hall will be closed at 2 o'clock that day. We'll close at 2 o'clock in the afternoon due to employee training. Okay. So we'll go right into old business. We'll start with legal Liz.
Good evening. Can you all hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Yep.
Okay. I'm going to take a lead. I'll be quite short, although I do expect there might be points during the agenda this evening where my participation might be helpful. We'll kind of play that out, let it see. On the agenda, I'll just let you guys know there are two ordinances. They're listed under 8 and 9. I'll thank Abby. She did a lot of work in getting that together. As you all know, we have been continuously updating the ordinances. These were two that were detected, one regarding trees, the other regarding animals and fowl, both in need of update. So we'll hit that at 8 and 9 when we get there. I also noticed on the the meeting agenda tonight, and I wanted to say a thank you for that, that I think Jeff Moe is appearing on behalf of the Tioga Area Airport. I know the airport has put in a lot of work, and I want to say that I'm very, very appreciative of that. It seems like all of their projects are going well, and I think they've done a lot for the airport. And as they say, airports are crown jewels of areas, so I think that's important. I don't think at this moment, subject to later jumping in, I have anything that is ripe for sharing at this moment. So I'll be prepared to participate, and you all should expect additional updates on other matters not listed on this agenda in the first March meeting and then thereafter in April. So for now, I'll call it.
All right, thank you. We'll go with number 2, Josh Warren here. I didn't see you back there, the podium wasn't on.
I went,
There will be a time on that.
Hope that's.
excellent. Good evening. Before I get started, I do have a coworker of mine with me, Mallory. She just started in our office here a few weeks ago, so wanted to introduce her, and you may see her from time to time. But I wanted to make that introduction.
Are you leaving us?
No, I'm not leaving.
Okay,
I'm not leaving.
because if you do, we're gonna be right out the door with a stick it in your kneecap or something.
I am not
You're
leaving.
not allowed to leave. All right,
So we will jump into the agenda here then. Item the Tioga Dam Recreational Trail Project. So we had a meeting last week to review kind of where the project's at. A couple of items came out of the meeting with the location of the police department firing rate. Here shows what I'll be describing here, but there was kind of some concerns related to the vicinity of the trail in relation to the firing range there. Kind of what was discussed and kind of determined was eliminating a portion of that trail, the area highlighted in red, that kind of goes all around the northern portion of the reservoir there, and then adding a floating pedestrian bridge across that this section of the reservoir to make the full loop. It's kind of what we kind of determined may be the best option for that. It does eliminate a fair amount of the trail and eliminates the 2 other water crossings. So as far as a cost standpoint, there probably will be some savings. Haven't determined that exactly, but we did reach out to the supplier of the floating bridge product that we could potentially get pricing on that. We haven't heard anything back on detailed pricing yet. Still pulling information together for that. So more to come on that. Any thoughts on that alignment revision?
I think the floating bridge is kind of cool. Just curious, do you have any idea how long that would be? Because we would have to maintain that, correct?
Yeah, so it's about 400 feet, give or take. And so I've seen the city of Minot, or Minot Park District, has a couple of these. They're shorter spans. I've seen them in a couple of the parks they have, but they actually leave them in year round. And don't really have to do much with them. It sounds like they haven't really had any major issues. And It's very similar to like the floating docks, similar system to that, you know, they have poles that go down, I think we've had a couple poles and this one, things like that, but some of it's working out pretty well, so, now this is a larger span, of course, or not span, but larger, but, letting things on with the supplier a little bit to see if they have any concerns with that working out there, so. And I guess related to that, there is options, and I know the city did recently get a quote, I don't know if you purchased it, another dock out there for kayak access, things like that. There are options. There's possibility of having kayak launchers and things off of this, so depending where that's at, that may be something to incorporate into that. Continue on with, this kind of seeing where pricing is on that. That's meeting. Okay, next item is the Fourth Main Street reconstruction project. The first topic on the project is terminal value for liquidated damages. Want to be included in the contract for that, so we've included a milestone completion date, which is essentially the block of Main Street in front of the school, between Second and Third Street. Essentially what that milestone completion is that utilities are in, the roadway is gravel surface and curb and gutter, sidewalks and driveways are placed on that block. Noah, we kind of talked it through it. At the last meeting we had to review the project, held off on including asphalt in that milestone completion, but we still could. If the commission would like to include that, but so kind of going back to the liquidated damages calculation. So with that milestone completion date, in the packet I included, we've kind of recently started going with a more of a calculated approach to determining the values. With the milestone completion date, kind of what we figured would be option for including there would be impacts related to the school, because that's really the primarily driver behind that milestone, having as little impact to the school as possible. So what I threw in there for a number was a 1% deduction of the estimated contract value per month. Calculating $1,220 a week. We can, the commission can decide if you guys want to make any adjustments from that value. So moving with that, substantial completion, liquidated damages, we included estimated cost per day for engineering. We've included impacts to residents as well as impacts to the school. So engineering costs are rates and estimated hours that could be incurred per week. And then we have a 0.25% of the contract value for impacts to residents and 0.5% for impacts to the school. Again, that can be adjusted as you would like. And also have the impacts. I didn't include anything for impacts to the city at this point. I don't know if there's anything that the city feels would be appropriate to include an additional to that. And it's similar for the final completion of engineering costs per day, as well as, a value for impacts to residents. Any thoughts? Adjustments, then those are additional impacts.
I just think it should just cover our costs, so the city isn't have to incur. You know, we still have to pay you guys, have a field engine. Right, shouldn't end up costing us money, so I think once. You know, we get compensated for that, it's not like we make money on it, we end up breaking even, that's. You know, that's good, but we know. Think that not much we do these contractors to get them to work faster. Yeah. So.
I take it this is your recommendation.
Yeah, the values that I've included are kind of typical, that we've been using in the past, and, the substantial completion, liquidated damage value that's calculated in line with what the DOT, would use for, project of similar value. I don't necessarily have concerns. Just anything additional. Feel is appropriate. So.
All right, any other comment? Question? We need a motion on this right now? Would you like, is
Yeah,
there a motion on the floor?
Also move to accept these liquidated damages, as presented by Josh.
I'll second.
All right, with a motion and a second, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, we'll move to a vote.
Yes.
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 All right, so
Moving along here, with the project, we do have final plans and specifications in your packets that Tim was reading up on, so. What we're looking at is advertisement dates of February 21st, being tomorrow, the 28th, and March 6th, and bid opening of March 13th at 10 a.m. Completion dates again, completion date that we're looking at for the work in front of the school, August 9th, give a little time before school starts. To have that suitable for parents and whatnot to get their students, their kids to school. Substantial completion date of October 1st and final completion of November 1st. So with that, I would, for approval of the plans and specifications and authorization to advertise for bids.
So, you know, so when I was looking through here, I was looking for that soil stabilization thing, soil smith. I seen in one spot, like option for it.
Yep, that'll be, as an alternate. So we'll bid it as typical gravel and fabric section and then have an alternate for, cement stabilization. So, yeah, based upon pricing.
Cause I just feel like so a lot of these, haven't, even some of these roads that are 5, 6, 7 years old. So, there's a lot of cities are going to this.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
all right, with a motion and a second, no questions, comments.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, all right, so moved.
Okay, and the last item I have this evening is the Southwest Tioga drainage study. I touched on this a little bit at last commission meeting. related to the drainage, around the north side of 68th Street. I have a task force for approval this evening, for an evaluation of alternatives to address drainage deficiencies and provide some options for conveyance of the drainage to that area. Especially considering the potential park projects, we'll be looking at it and other potential development. Plus approval of that task order. Any questions?
For what it's worth, guys, Josh, that was the one you had sent me, I think, and I've approved as to legal form. It's fit for commission consideration from that perspective.
What was your question?
About the material testing is part of the whole contract. The whole of the seven.
There won't be any material testing on this component.
There a motion on the floor for the task order
I'll make the motion.
to approve or deny? To approve? Okay. For a second? All right, for the motion and a second to approve the task order as requested, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, will vote.
Yes.
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 All right, so moved.
That is all I have this evening, unless there's any questions for me. I got through those 500 pages pretty quick.
Well, you didn't go through.
I was a
it.
little nervous, I'm not gonna lie.
All right, thank you. Old business, park board request. The City of Tioga Commissioners, Tioga Board, Tioga Park Board is requesting that the city grant us official control and jurisdiction of Odegaard Park and Pioneer Park. It has come to our attention that the Legion is willing to put forth some funds to update Pioneer Park and that there could be a possibility of a name change. While we maintain both parks and the park district is a city entity, it does affect anyone who is interested in offering donations, use of or suggestions for updates. Does it have to go through the city or to the park board? Park board plans on continuing the maintenance of these parks, but would like a clear answer for future questions and concerns regarding this. Sincerely, the Tioga Park.
Well, personally, I think the park does a great job. Here, they maintain it, they take care of it, so I would make a motion that they have complete authority over it. So if there is any questions that, you know, such as the American Legion, they can go directly to the park.
But it's not a land transfer,
Correct, to give them complete authority.
which basically I don't think.
All right, so we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, for the motion and a second, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, we'll move to vote.
Yes.
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 All right, so moves. We'll start with new business. Mr. Mo.
Evening.
Good evening, everybody.
Swell, that's good. Everything's swell at the airport too. I just want to give you guys in the public updates. We had our meeting last Thursday. We are starting a FTAP program, which means we are in cahoots, I guess you'd say, with the State Aeronautics Commission. We had signed an agreement with Minot Aero Center to provide us a plane and a trainer. So if we get people that want to learn how to fly at the Tioga Airport, will pay for the plane and the trainer to come from Minot to fly right here to Tioga. The individual that wants to learn how to fly, they fly with, you know, however much time they have allocated with the trainer. They just pay for the trainer and the plane then, and then when the trainer and the plane need to go back, Tioga Airport will pay for that. We get 80% reimbursement back from the state, so we're liable for 20. I got some numbers, it's 155 per hour with a plane, 55 for a trainer. I've got 7 people lined up right now, as I posted on my personal page last night on my Facebook. So 24 hours, I have 7 people lined up. We're going to, I was looking at some grants through the state, kind of, I don't know what happened before with the EDC or the city. I wasn't part of that, I don't know. But I talked to Abby last week and she's gonna help me, you know, fill out some grants for the state and possibly the county and everything else. So I implore the public, if anybody has ever thought about flying, come out, try it, because you will be hooked, like I was. I know everybody's afraid to get their feet off the ground, but man, when you do, it's a blast. Just try it, 1 hour, and you'll be hooked. It's a blast. I wish I'd have done it sooner. So, our project from 2023 was pushed back because we didn't have any parts last year. It's supposed to start this spring once everything dries up. Should be completed. It's a taxi lighting project. Should be completed mid-summer. And we have a micro, which is a full micro seal of all the pavement on the airport. So we'll have brand new looking pavement out there, and very, very, very small chance right now, because we just kind of come up with this on last week, but we're going to try to put together some kind of a something over 4th of July for the all school reunion. I don't want to put it out there yet. I want to talk to a few more people that were involved in this stuff a couple of years ago, but it might be really, if it's feasible, I think it'd be really, really cool. So, other than that, I don't have a whole lot, but like I say, I would love, if anybody wants to even try flying, reach out to me or any of the board members. You guys can find our contacts on the city website or my Facebook. And that's about all I got, other than questions.
You guys have done a great job out there, Jeff. I'm super proud of the board and everything you've accomplished.
Everything is going pretty well, very well.
Awesome.
So, anything else?
I hope you get a lot of people. These guys are very letting me keep my driver's license. I don't think that's.
There are little requirements for it, but yes, but yes, I mean, absolutely. Even if it's just to get a hold of me, if you want to go up in the plane for an hour, have the instructor fly you around. That's what we're here for.
Is there age limits to it?
He's right there. I'm not 100% sure. If you can get in the airplane, I think you'll be okay.
Okay.
So
There's still hope for us.
I was kind of thinking like 16, 17-year-olds.
Curtis, I know you probably 16.
16?
You can start, you can solo at 16. I think you have to get, and then you get your private at 18, correct? So,
Okay.
yes. So, I mean, even high schoolers, that would be great. Just to get your hours in and then turn 18 and you're well on your way.
And then on your big to-do, if you need any volunteers or help,
Oh.
I'm here.
Made a mistake there.
I
So,
know.
no, if anybody's got any questions here. Perfect. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, Tyler, on application.
There's 3 applications. One is from the Tioga After Prom Committee, the Tioga Historical Society, and the Tioga Chamber of Commerce.
I'll move to approve.
A second.
All right, with the motion and a second to approve, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, we'll move to vote.
Yes.
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 All right, so moved. All right, next up is gonna be Walker Korpatnicki. Sir, are you on Skype?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Firstly, I'd like to apologize for not being able to be there in person. As a lot of you may know, you have work obligations. I wasn't going to make a 5-hour drive in 2 hours. Um, Secondly, I'd like to thank everyone who came out in person as well as Zoom. It looks like there's very good turnout. So I tried writing a speech about this, but nothing really felt right. So I'm just going to kind of speak from the heart if that makes any sense. So a little backstory to me. I spent the first about 4 years of my life in Tioga, so I'd like to call myself a Tioga native. I moved away after that, did my schooling elsewhere, and in about May of 2021 or so, I started at the Tioga Police Department. I worked with my FTO. He was the previous canine handler with Tioga, and working with him and helping him with his trainings with his last dog, I fell in love with working dogs and just how they operate, just everything about dogs. I loved it. Roughly around the time of, I don't know, early 2023, I started pushing to restart the canine program because we didn't have one at that time. With the help of Mayor Litton there, I was able to find a grant. We got the grant filled out. And on October 9th, I ended up meeting my partner, Canine Izzy. Um, the bond with a dog starts on day one. I spent roughly 3,000 hours with that dog. With her anxiety and just how she is, I couldn't leave her alone without her barking. Like I'd go to the gym and she'd be barking when I left, and then 2 hours later, so when I got home, she's still barking. So I amended my lifestyle to accommodate for that. Like I brought her everywhere with me. If I went out, she was sitting in the truck with me. If I took a road trip, she was with me in the truck the whole time. All of that, and kind of late in 2023. I don't want to get into the politics of it, but there were some disagreements on different things at the PD that kind of pushed me to more want to work elsewhere. Just a bunch of different disagreements and no one was seeing eye to eye on it. So I sought employment elsewhere. I ended up getting a job across the state at a PD over here, and I put in a proper 2 weeks notice. And on day 10 of that 2 weeks notice, I was informed that on day 11, they were going to be taking Izzy from me. Um, I don't know why, because it was more convenient or something. And so on the 11th day, I knew I wasn't going to be working with my partner anymore. So I ended up resigning on the spot because I didn't want to work without my partner. Um, like I said, I spent almost 3,000 hours with my dog, and the bond that you can create with a dog is you can't compare it to anything. Like I know one of the commissioners up there, Mr. Christensen, I'd see him walking around town with his dog. You can just see the bond even just walking with him. Like it's there. That's family. Um, in the midst of my 2 weeks, I offered to buy out Izzy for whatever price they wanted. Obviously I don't have the money to pay it up front, but I'd be willing to work with the city, payments or whatever I got to do. I really just I want to bring my family home, and the more I started thinking about it, the turnaround rate in Tioga for the PD, the average I believe is about 2 years. With that being said, with Canine Izzy, if they can find another handler or if they've already tried to get one lined up, if the turnaround rate applies, the dog will be there for 2 years. I had a bond with that dog. That bond was torn from me. Whoever the dog was with right now, that bond's going to be torn away. And when that next officer, if they leave after the 2 years, that bond is going to be torn. That Izzy will never have a true home, like a forever home. So I guess what I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to do everything I can to fight to give her that for her forever home. She's a very high drive dog. She loves to work. She, I just love that dog so much. One of Izzy's favorite things to do was late at night, we'd go out to whether it be the dog park or a field, and she loved, even more than narcotics work, she loved to do article searches. So I'd take a pocket knife or some keys and I'd throw them as hard as I can into a field when it's pitch black outside. I have no idea where they are. She'd be able to find those, whatever it was I threw, in about 30 seconds. She was just a fantastic dog. So I guess what I'm asking for today, and I'll try to keep it short because I know other people want to keep their or put their 2 cents in about it. I just want my family to come home. Life's not the same without her, and I know if she's able to live with me, I've already got it set up to where I can, even if I can't work with her out on the road again, I know I could train with her, whether it be narcotics, article searches. I was getting ready to try to plan to get her on tracking people too. Yeah, that's just kind of my spiel on it, my 2 cents. But I'm just asking for a vote to whether it be retire or to sell Izzy to me, just something so I could bring my family home. I'll just leave it there, and if anyone else has their 2 cents, they could chime in as well, if it's okay with the commission.
All right, well, I appreciate that, Walker. Really quick, before we, have anybody else talk, I'm gonna have Chief Nelson talk in just a minute. I do want to let the audience know, and I also want to let Walker know that, I reached out to the, person that we purchased the dog from. And I have a letter that was drafted by him. Walker, at the end of this, I can send it to you if you would like, just let me know. And I'll read what the letter has to say. Because I think it sheds some light on some things here. Dated February 20, 2024. To whom it may concern. My name is Pete Nelson, and I am the owner of Disco Canine. I own and operate a canine training company that specializes in training police canines. I take pride in the ownership of this business and attempt to place the best possible dog with my clients, or for my clients, sorry. Last summer, Mayor Kevin Litton reached out to me regarding pending police canine grant. We discussed what the city of Tioga was interested in, and if a grant became available, and if the grant became available. Thank you, Walker. You got me all messed up, but. Okay, let me start over. So last summer, Mayor Litton reached out to me regarding the pending grant for a police canine grant. We discussed what the city of Tioga was interested in if the grant becomes available, and after speaking with Mayor Litton, I started the process of finding a possible canine candidate or a canine candidate. After a few weeks, I found canine Izzy. I tested Izzy and believed that she would be a good fit for the city of Tioga. Mayor Litton then reached back out to me and informed me that the police department was awarded the grant. I chose canine Izzy to be the next member of the Tioga Police Department. Canine Izzy can be described as a very intelligent, well-mannered, driven dog. I immediately began the process of introducing narcotic odor to Izzy until the Tioga Police Department sent her handler to pick her up. After her handler picked her up, a few weeks went by and I started training with the team. This took place in October of 2023. After canine Izzy and her handler, Walker Korpatnicki, were certified, they were sent back to Tioga. A few weeks ago, I was informed that Walker Korpatnicki would be leaving the Tioga Police Department and that he was interested in keeping canine Izzy. I informed Walker that the dog belongs to the city of Tioga and that he would need to work with them. He told me that he and Chief Nelson were not getting along, and I advised him to reach out to Mayor Litton. During this time, I spoke with Chief Nelson, Councilwoman Jessica, and Mayor Litton regarding the issues that had come to light. In all conversations, I have informed them that the city of Tioga is a client of Disco Canine and that I would attempt to resolve the issue at hand. The main point I was told, the main point I told all three was that if a new canine handler could be named within a few months, canine Izzy should not have an issue transferring from one handler to the next. However, if canine Izzy was unable to be assigned to a new handler for 6 months or even a year, it might be in the best interest to sell her and utilize the money when they were ready, or when they are ready, yes. I do believe canine Izzy is a valuable member of the Tioga Police Department, and if the city of Tioga is happy with their product and able to assign her to a new handler, this would be the best fit for the Tioga Police Department. I was informed by all three of them that canine Izzy seems to be doing good, and when she is brought to the police department and around. Majority of police dogs are capable of being transferred from one handler to another if time spent is relatively short. If there is anything else I can do to help the Tioga Police Department, feel free to reach out to me. Respectfully, Pete Nielsen, Disco Canine owner. So that is kind of his 2 cents on the entire event. We'll have, I know Chief Nelson has something that he wants to talk about as well, just so we can make sure that all of the information is out there before any type of decision is made.
Can I ask Walker a question?
You wish?
So Walker, when you put in your notice that you're gonna leave, was there ever a discussion of what was gonna happen with the dog then?
So I tried to have the discussion right away. That was my biggest concern, was the well-being of Izzy. I was met with a response somewhere along the lines of they didn't know yet because I just kind of thrown it at them, which is understandable. I sent a few texts a few days later. I got 0 responses on those texts, and I ended up having to go on a day I was working, go talk to the chief, and that's when he told me that they were going to be keeping Izzy from me.
Good evening, Chief Nelson, Tioga Police. Before I go into detail on what I have here, I think most people in the community, based off of the Facebook comments and statements that have been made, would like to probably know the current condition of Izzy. So I'm going to invite Shappet up to the podium here, where he can provide a brief update on how Izzy is currently doing.
Good evening, Commission, Officer Shappet, Tioga Police Department. So when Canine Officer Izzy was turned over, I was the officer that took charge of her care. She's been a residence with my family. I have another canine, not working canine, another dog at the house. I haven't had any issues. She's merged into the household well. She hasn't shown any signs of being uneasy or not eating. I know that when I took her on, there was some conversation of her possibly being ill or something. She wasn't eating when I first took her, upset stomach, whatever it had been. Within 2 days, she was back to eating normally.
She actually had her vaccinations, and that's what made her stomach upset.
Yeah, she transitioned to the household. She gets along with the other dog that I've got. Haven't had any issues with those two being at odds or anything like that. They share toys, they play all day, which is kind of a problem for me working nights, is I have to listen to 2 dogs stomping around and running across my house. But other than that, it's going well. She gets along with the kids, she gets along with my girlfriend. She seems happy. Haven't seen anything where, like I said, where she's not eating or doesn't seem to be comfortable with anything like that, so. I think it's pretty well.
So I recognize that we're dealing with an animal, it's a living, breathing thing. And I get that the community has taken a certain stance on it, from more of a pet perspective. However, as your chief, I have to look at this from more of a logistical standpoint. Because while we do recognize that this is a living, breathing animal that we do have to care for, and make sure that that animal is happy, this is also a resource for the city. And so, to put this into perspective a little bit from what my standpoint is on the department, I'm gonna kind of outline the timeline of how our canine program progressed from the time that I took over as chief, up until today. But I do want to note that this whole situation took, an incredibly personal turn. The reason why I'm here and made the decision that I made to retain the dog was not personally based. It was not as a punishment against Walker. It was actually following policy that I had created. So on the 10th of July of, well, 20th of January, 2022, I started issuing a series of policies from the department through Lexipol in an effort to make it and operate to a higher standard that the community could expect, that would maybe help with mitigation of legal action against the department and help provide guidance to our officers. On that day, that's when the initial canine policy was implemented. Walker was employed with the department at that time and had acknowledged that policy along with everybody else in the department. Most recently on the 10th of July, 2023, Walker did complete and submit the grant approval paperwork to fund the canine program that we wanted to re-implement. The grant application was approved by Tioga City Commission and signed off by me as a chief of police as required for the paperwork. On August 10th, about a month later, Tioga Police Department was awarded the grant through USPCA to purchase and implement the narcotics detection canine. It should be noted that at that time, the canine provider and trainer had been selected out of West Fargo, Disco Canine. On September 11th, the canine trainer from Disco Canine contacted me. He advised that he had located the canine, ultimately Izzy, that he believed to be suitable for our agency's needs. The canine trainer began training with Izzy, imprinting her on narcotics and training her for proper narcotics detection. Shortly thereafter, on the 23rd of September, I received an update from the trainer. It basically stated that the training was going well and that he had hoped to have Walker pick up Izzy around the week of the 9th to be able to bond for a short while before beginning training on or around the 23rd of October. Originally, I had the 10th of April as the day that Walker had gone down to pick her up, but Walker had stood me corrected on the 9th. So on the 9th of October, Walker had gone to West Fargo to pick up the dog. On the 10th of October, because we were re-implementing this canine policy, I decided to take a quick look at that to make sure there wasn't anything that needed to be addressing at that time. During that time, there were some minor updates to the department policy that were implemented. One of the parts that was implemented was in regards to canine ownership, which would be 309.13. And I happen to have that policy right here in front of me. So I will outline what that policy says. This is the guidelines I followed when making my determination, because again, it wasn't personal. It was simply following the guidelines I had set forth in my own policy. It says here that the canine is and will remain property of the Tioga Police Department. Exceptions to this rule will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. The chief of police will have final authorization to release ownership of the canine. The canine officer will have the first opportunity to adopt the canine if the chief of police authorizes and releases the canine. Circumstances for release include but are not limited to the following. retirement of the canine, injury that prevents the canine from returning to work. We're retraining the canine with a new handler is not an option due to the canine's age and or time of service. Health issues that prevent the canine from returning to active duty, and canine incompetence. All canine related documents will remain property of the Tioga Police Department. These records include but may not be limited to training records, veterinary records, passports, and bloodline records. If the canine is released from the department, the new owner of the canine may request copies of the canine records. The canine handler is separated from the Tioga Police Department and or can no longer fulfill their duties as canine officer. The canine will be returned to the Tioga Police Department. Now, keep in mind that policy was implemented on the 10th of October. Walker had obtained the canine the day prior, and on the day after, October 11th, Walker had electronically acknowledged the new revisions to this canine policy. On October 23rd, Walker and Izzy reported back to the trainer in West Fargo for training and certifications, where they then graduated on the 5th of November, completing the training course and receiving the certifications they need for narcotics detection. On the 29th of January, Walker submits his 2-week notice, effectively resigning his employment with the city of Tioga. He did ask me at that time what I intended to do with the dog as he handed me the letter, and of course I didn't have an answer for that. I needed to review what my options were at that point. After reviewing my options on February 3rd, an email was sent to Walker's work email outlining equipment return, and that would be to include canine Izzy. The return of the handler, or the return of the dog and the equipment was scheduled then at that time to be for February 8th. And I happen to have that email in front of me here that I'll read just for transparency, to show that I did try to have effective communication regarding this matter. So on February 3rd, I said, Walker, I also CC'd Officer Shaffett as he was going to be caring for canine Izzy upon Walker's departure. I said that I wanted to touch base with you and let you know that I will not be working Monday, February 12th, and will not be available for equipment check-in on that day. February 12th would have been Walker's last day at the department. I had prior engagements on that day that I'd forgotten about. As a result of my absence, I will be collecting all of your department issued equipment to include your patrol vehicle and canine Izzy on Thursday, February 8th. We will begin the check-in process at 1600 hours, which would be 4 p.m. When I return to the office on Monday, I will try to pull the list of all of your department issued equipment and email it to you to assist you in locating all the items expected upon return. This email Saturday, by the way. And it was a weekend that Walker happened to be working. In regards to canine Izzy, Joel has agreed to house and care for Izzy on a temporary basis until I can find a suitable permanent solution. Izzy will be given to Joel Thursday evening once all department issued equipment is checked in. If you could please provide Joel with care instructions for Izzy, example, how many feedings per day, times of the feedings, amount of food to be given, what would make Izzy most comfortable, I would appreciate it. I want to ensure that Izzy's care is consistent to the care that you have been providing her. Joel will likely be reaching out to you with any additional questions that you may have regarding Izzy's care. I then outline in here that I recognize that 2/12/24 is scheduled to be his last day. That day would then be effectively an administrative shift because I will have at that point checked in all of his year. He would then assist with administrative duties and his shift would go from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. So that email was sent on the 3rd. On February 7th, I was approached by Walker, was asked if I had given any further consideration to him purchasing Izzy. I should also note that on that same Saturday, I had also received that text message. I didn't reply to that text message because I felt as though what I had sent in the email was sufficient and I didn't want to make a difficult situation worse by continuing to hammer on the fact that I was going to take the dog. But anyway, on the seventh, Walker approached me, asked if I had given any further consideration. Walker at the time informed that Izzy would be staying with the department. That night I waited for Joel and Walker to shift change at 6 o'clock that evening, at which time I reiterated what I had sent out in the previous email. To ensure that all involved were on the same page. I wanted to make sure that Joel knew what the game plan was, when he would be able to obtain the dog, and whatever care instructions were needed would then be provided at that time. On February 8th, the following day at approximately 9:53 in the morning, Walker called to advise that he would be turning in his equipment at 10:30, and he would be concluding his shift early due to other appointments he had scheduled for the day. So in total, what we're looking at here is we're looking at a dog that was issued to a handler for approximately 4 months, that worked a total of shifts, that, yeah, though it was purchased with a grant, there is a fair expenditure that's, you know, that has happened and occurred as a result of having this dog, with vet bills, food, canine pay, and the sorts. That now we have this resource in the community. I'm at a point now where I have a solution for the canine, where I do have a handler that is interested in being a handler for canine Izzy. And per the policy that I wrote, I don't have any reason to retire the dog, and the dog doesn't show any reason why it can't continue to function as a canine officer here in Tioga.
I have something really quick as well. So I kind of wrote it down quickly here. Just so you guys are aware, I have also reached out to Pete Nielsen personally on Wednesday, February 14th. Mr. Nielsen helped select the dog for this community. We bought and had the dog trained with Mr. Nielsen. I'm not sure if he's here by Zoom tonight. I did invite him. Not sure if he made it or not. But my direct purpose for reaching out to him was because I care for the interest of Izzy. I'm an animal lover, avid. And I care for the community. Mr. Nielsen said, and I quote, "I told Walker, as I do all, the dog does not belong to you. It is a tool the city has provided to better the community. They all know that from day one." Pete's concerns through the conversation would be the timelines. He would not recommend us keeping the dog if we were not able to put it with a handler and train within a year. He was confident that with a handler that was found in the next few months, the dog would be able to continue to be a huge asset to Tioga. Mr. Nielsen's recommendation should be considered. The dog comes from his personal small business. He is also, just as a worthy note, he is also the West Fargo Police Chief. I did speak with him again today. He said that if anyone were to question his professional opinion, had he been shady about it, he would have told us to sell the dog. He said the city commission, and I quote, was doing the right thing by keeping the dog. On a personal note, I did get to spend a day with Izzy. She did seem very happy. She loves playing ball. She loves her treats. She's very smart. I noticed she kind of hit up some of the lockers that we have that is close to our evidence room. And she is a very happy, loving dog. I can tell you the department as a whole respects and loves that dog. It's sensitive. I get it, but we have to make the best decision for the police department and the community as a whole.
All right. Walker, I'll give you an opportunity to say anything else if you wish, sir.
Well, it's just, sorry, I'm getting a little bit emotional over this.
It's a lot to take in, I get it.
You guys spoke about being an animal lovers, and all that good stuff, but put yourself in my shoes. Imagine building such a strong bond with a dog and just having that taken away from you. You can't really, it's, it's a lot to take in. The last 3 dogs or so that Tioga had, those were all returned to their handlers. I see people in the comments saying Frank was vicious. I trained, although Frank is not currently working with an agency, I still continued to train my dog with Franco. And Franco is one of the sweetest dogs I've ever met. As long as you don't touch his ears, he doesn't like that. There's someone else trying to chime in.
Somebody else was talking. Go ahead, Walker.
Um, it's I don't see the harm in giving me my dog. I'm willing to do what it takes to break even with the city. I tried leaving on good terms with the city, as you could tell from the PD's point of view. It got personal. It's not hard to get another dog. It really isn't in the reality of it. There's dogs everywhere. You go on Facebook, you can join a million canine groups with different places selling out their working dogs with high drive. Like Tioga's not losing out on anything, and I'm offering to break even with them as if the canine program like never happened. I mean, if you look at the history of the canine program, there's there's a common denominator in all of that. You talk to any of the previous handlers, they all had their issues with the leadership as well. So at some point you have to look at it as why isn't the canine program working? I tried my best to make it work. I really did. They're try I had blowback from a lot of things that I tried to do with the canine. I tried to get training aids for the dog. The PD wasn't going to buy them unless I had signed off note from Pete saying that the training aids were okay. When the canine trainers or the canine handlers that were giving me these options were the ones recommending them to me, other handlers, and those other handlers were also trained by Pete Nielsen. Being a handler in Tioga is not easy. You don't have a lot of say in the matters. I was told throughout the entirety of my career with Izzy that it was my dog and I could do what I wanted, but the reality was I couldn't. Um, I don't know if any other handlers are in here tonight or if they could speak on that, but just I don't think that a canine program is appropriate for Tioga right now. Not a lot of the cops there that I've spoken to even have any interest in being a handler or doing that much dope work. In my time in Tioga, I'm not doing this to brag by any means, but I dedicated my life to the city for about close to 3 years. I made myself available on basically a 2 hours notice. If another officer had something going on, I dropped everything I had during the day. Like if I was doing something, I'd drop everything, I'd go home and I'd cover for that officer. I gave everything to the city and I never asked for anything. This is the one thing I'm asking for is to bring Izzy home. Um, so just hearing the way that last speech was going is really disheartening. I'm doing everything in my power to try to make this right and leave on decent terms with Tioga, but I don't know. I guess we'll see how it goes from here. That's all I have for now.
So you talked about the trainers telling you about training aids and stuff that you should do. And here we have the owner of the company saying that the dog should stay with Tioga PD because they have a handler within 6 months or prior to 6 months or a year, the dog would easily be transferred. I get where you're at, Walker. I really do. But I mean, even with what you're saying, if we should be listening to the trainers and the owner of the company, I think it's,
Can I interrupt you for a second?
sure,
So you're talking about all this with the trainer. The trainer hasn't been, and then like I respect Pete with everything I have. I really do. He's a great man. He knows more about dogs than anyone I've ever met. The smartest man I've ever met when it comes to working dogs. But he's never been in Tioga with the working with dogs in Tioga. It's a different world. You can put the best dog in the world in a city, but if that city isn't giving you the proper tools to keep that dog's skills up to par, then you don't, that canine's just going to be a wash at some point. And not to mention that if they have this handler come in and the turnaround rate is true, that's 2 years, and they go another 6 months or a month without a handler. I mean, at some point, going through handlers and different owners, that dog is going to be so messed up that it won't even want to work. So I feel that it's fair for me to want to buy her out.
okay, question, Chief Nelson. Have you?
What's that?
I'm sorry, I'm speaking to Chief Nelson, sorry. Yep. Have you selected, or you said you had an idea of somebody that's already currently in your department that would be able to fill that position, correct?
Correct.
Okay, how long? I think which officer is it, if you don't mind saying it?
Yeah, I was hoping not to at this point.
I understand that, but I think it's important at this point because I think that individual needs to say, I mean, is he gonna be here for 2 years? Is he gonna depart as quick as everybody else has?
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, it's,
So, during the course of caring for Canine, the officer Shaffett has expressed that he would be willing to fulfill the role of canine handler for Izzy, for the duration of her service.
okay. And Officer Shabbat's here. Can you please come up to the podium for a second, please? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I mean, you hear what Walker is saying. And so I guess, are you gonna leave in a month? Are you gonna leave in 2 months? Are you gonna leave in a year? What are your intentions? Because I understand he's got some valid points, but if we're not gonna have a turnover rate and you intend to stay with the agency for an extended period of time, I think the dog has about probably 7 to 8 years left.
So I have no plans on. I'm here in Tioga. I can't say what's gonna happen within the next few years. I have no plans of like up and just leaving. I will say this. So I've got over 8 years of experience in law enforcement. Where I came from, the agencies around us, K-9 units were department policy or department property. One of the agencies and one of the larger agencies in the area that I worked had K-9 programs that every 2 years, those K-9 officers were up for, each handler had 2 years to work that dog. After 2 years, that dog was transitioned to a new handler. There was no issues within that agency on how the dogs work. Their working didn't decline. There was no issues, otherwise they wouldn't have continued the program in that manner. It's not uncommon in law enforcement for a canine to be transferred to a new handler. That new handler being bonded to that canine and then to continue to work through the longevity of that dog. One thing that people need to understand is this isn't Fluffy at home. This is a working dog. They're trained on a regular basis. They're trained in and around other handlers. They have situations where, handlers go down for medical reasons. That dog then goes to another handler to be worked. And then will be transitioned back to the handler that they were originally with. These are working dogs. They are their drive is for what they're trained to do. It's not. Yes, there's a bond. but it's not the same as a dog that's at home. They're treated completely different. They are trained to be that way. They're raised and bred to be a working dog in the situations that they're put into. That's why Pete went and selected the dog that he did as a, person who runs a kennel, a training facility. Dogs have different drives. Dogs are meant to do certain things in their life. That's one thing that I have a problem with the whole situation that we're speaking of right now. This is a working dog owned by an agency. It's not a personal dog owned by an individual. It's not uncommon for these dogs to be trained and handled term effects to that dog as far as that dog doing its job. That's my input. I don't know.
It
how
sounds-
else to say.
It is very common. I've been around handlers a majority of my life and in the military as well. A military dog could see up to 4 handlers in its lifespan. It doesn't mean that, you know, the bond with the human and their dog isn't there. There is a bond there, but it is common in police departments and
Do you have any further questions?
How old is Izzy?
She's approximately 2 years old.
So I guess it comes back to my question is, are you gonna depart the agency in the next 2 years as being described? Okay, better yet, are you gonna leave in the next 4 months? Is that cool? No? Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Can I make an observation here, Commission President?
Yes, please.
Walker, I understand that your position is quite emotional. It's very normal to develop, and I mean, I think healthy, to develop friendships with animals. I think that's a uniquely human and animal thing, and you can't assign a value to that. So I'll start by telling you that, and I think everyone can appreciate that you have an emotional attachment to Izzy. But one of the things that you said, and which I see the comments rolling on Zoom, that I think bears annotation, there are a couple of them, is that you've said again and again, you would like everyone to put themselves in your shoes. But I would ask you, if you love this dog as much as you say you do, don't you think you ought to put yourself in Izzy's shoes? That's the truth of a loving relationship. And that's the truth of a leader, is that a leader will always advance his pack, even when it is painful for him to do so. And as Joel described, that is a working animal. Izzy was bred to work. She's good at it. You've said she shows promise. Her trainer says she shows promise. There are 80 people turned out. I don't know if there's really 80, but that's one of the fullest times I've ever seen that room. There's a community of people that think Izzy is a wonderful dog, so wonderful that they're willing to give up their Tuesday night to come support whatever is in her best interest. So Walker, if you put yourself in Izzy's shoes, and you knew you were born and bred to do something, and you had a community that backed you and wanted you to do it, and you had people that were invested in getting you there, if you love that thing, would you hold it back? Izzy has a place. She has a handler. She has resources available. You've explained to us that the dog won't be going into the program where you're transferring. Izzy, who's born and bred to find articles, to sniff out drugs, to protect a community, to serve with her partners, you want to take that from her? I recognize that you have a deep attachment to that dog, but if your attachment runs as deep as you say it does, you would want the best for her. You would put yourself in her shoes instead of asking the department to wear yours. That's observation number 1. Number 2, Tioga is Izzy's home. We keep saying that Walker keeps saying that that's Izzy's home. His home is Izzy's home, but it was Tioga that welcomed Izzy there. It was Tioga that wrote the checks for her training. It's Tioga that's hearing the matter of Izzy tonight before many, many people. It's Tioga Mines who have sat here and considered this issue. Tioga is Izzy's home walker, and you should be respectful of that. The other thing is, as we said or not, it's crazy to me seeing the turnout, seeing the support for this animal, that Walker, you would suggest that this community isn't a good place for a police dog. You need only watch the news to know that the northern border is becoming problematic like the southern one. You need only watch the news to know that fentanyl is poisoning communities, urban and rural. Izzy is useful and valuable here. She's a police officer. Izzy is a police officer, practically and legally speaking. And this community, like many rural communities, struggles to retain and advance its police force in a time when it's needed the most. And so I think it's extremely insulting, and I think it's factually baseless to suggest that this isn't a good place as you have for a canine. This is the perfect place for a canine. This is a place where her services are needed and where she has a community and partners in that department that support her. And so, while I fundamentally agree with Josh on every legal and policy level he's described, I think that you are misstating and sort of frankly abusing the emotional element. Because if you love something, you support it and you let it do what it's best at doing. And being someone's pet isn't what Izzy loves or is best at doing. She's good at being a cop. And my 2 cents, and I'm not trying to make policy here, is that if you love something, you let it advance itself. And this arrangement that you're proposing doesn't advance Izzy at all.
All right. Does the board have any other questions for these two?
Could I just speak one more time, please?
Yes, please.
So there's a couple things that I found, I don't want to use the word wrong, but for lack of a better term, wrong with the last two speakers. In the first portion of it that I'd like to address with the new handler that I guess is stepping up for it. He's not going to be there forever either. He won't be there for the length of Izzy's career. I've had numerous discussions with him. He has plans to further his career as well, and he wants to be a sheriff somewhere. I'm not going to start throwing out anything, and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. But the fact that someone said he was going to be there for her career, that's just not correct. I've had conversations with him recently while I was employed there, that was the end goal for him. No one wants to be a patrol officer forever. Everyone has goals and ambitions, and I'm not gonna knock him for wanting those. I think that what they're trying to propose is just factually incorrect for what they're trying to say. I'm not trying to throw any shade at that, but that's just what I believe at that. The second part of it is I don't believe that me not letting her stay or me wanting her to stay in Tioga, I still don't think that's the best move for her. Put myself in her shoes. She wants to get the opportunity to get the most work possible. Realistically, cops in Tioga, I was the only one recently that did dope work. I don't want to say I led them, but I led about 6 search warrants or somewhere around that number involving narcotics. I was the narcotics guy in Tioga. There might have been 1 or 2 other people that did like some stuff here or there. I got a lot of assistance from the detective there. She was fantastic and she was great at her job. But realistically, I was the narcotics guy. They didn't have another narcotics guy. Now, in bringing her home where I'm at, my goal is to one day work with her again because she's my partner. Now, putting myself in her shoes, wouldn't the people want Izzy to get as much exposure to all of the stuff she trains for as much as she can every single day? If I could swing it up here someday in the future, I don't know when, I don't even know if it's a possibility, and I'm not saying any of it is. I could work with her up here, and the population difference from where I'm at now and from the Tioga is drastically different. She would have so many more opportunities to do what she loves. So realistically, putting myself in her shoes, that's what I would want to do if I was given the option. Like I don't agree with what you guys were saying. And if she is to come home with me, She's not going to be just a couch potato. I already have the approval to continue her training with narcotics. I can work her in with people on canine training days. Like, she's not going to be a couch potato like you assume she will be. She's going to continue to have her training. Her narcotics, I could probably line up to do with other canines when they do them. Granted, I get the blessing first. I've already got the blessing from one guy, but he's not the lead, the superior. He's not the supervisor of it, but I'm sure I could work with them and figure something out. And so that's narcotics. Article searches and tracking, you can do that by yourself on your own time. I did all that. I did a majority of that on my own time. So, and not to mention the fact that with the way things have gone, it's going to be very difficult for that dog to find other dogs to train with. I'm just going to be blunt about it. Not many people are a fan of Tioga. I'm not trying to diss anyone or throw shade when I say that. And it's not just because of this matter. It's just because how things have gone and how things have unfolded. You're going to have a very difficult time training with local dogs. You could try training with places that are further away, but then you're spending more money on gas on the way there and back and all that nonsense. It's financially better to give her to me. The Tioga's not out anything. They could find another grant. I would work with them to bring my debts down to zero as best as I could. Tioga's not losing anything by giving Izzy to me. Izzy's not losing anything by coming home to me. So what everyone is saying is just factually incorrect. That's just my 2 cents on it.
All right. Well, you wanted to get into it a little bit, so I will a little bit more. I have spoken to Chief Nelson, who is your chief of police, correct? Sorry, Nielsen, right?
What's that?
I spoke to Chief Nielsen, who's your new chief with West Fargo Police Department, correct?
Okay.
And one of the conversations that I had with him, he has already explained to you that there is a long list of canine handlers before you, so it's going to be a significant amount of time before you get into a canine position. Is that an accurate statement, or was he not truthful with me?
It honestly depends. I mean, there's facts to it. I will agree with that.
Okay.
But I've spoken with other people at the department here, and some of the people that are applying aren't even qualified to apply. And with my previous training and experience being a handler previous, I believe that would bump me up in the list. Like I have more experience than the guys who haven't handled the dog before. So factually, you may be correct that it could be a significant amount of time. But by the time that time comes, if I could convince them to bring Izzy on board, Izzy would be in her prime. And I could have trained with her every time that other people are training with her. I could train with her on my own time. So partially, yes, I would say you're correct, but I believe there are some outstanding factors that could play into it, because the policy up here states that you need 3 years of experience and 1 year of West Fargo experience to become a handler. So in theory, within a year, if they're looking for another dog and I prove myself to West Fargo, it could only be a year. And in a year, you could do so much training in your off time. So that's my 2 cents on that.
So how do you feel when your chief is saying that the dog should remain with Tioga? That's gotta be.
I don't believe that's not my chief talking from necessarily a police standpoint. That's him talking from his business standpoint. How I can't speak on his behalf. I don't know what he meant when he said those things. I wasn't there for the conversations. But what if he says that he thinks he should stay with Tioga? I would say that I should have been a part of said conversation so I could give him my side of the story and he could make a different determination if need be.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board? I'll open the floor for just a couple of minutes because we do have some other stuff. Okay. And when I say a couple of minutes, no more than 5 minutes for the floor to be open.
I'm here to help, walk her in if possible. I just wanted to say the protocol in the past seems to be that the canine handlers have been able to purchase or get the dogs when they are terminated from this place. It happened in 2014. Larry was there, he knows. I know of at least 3 dogs that have went back to their handlers. Either they paid for them, they paid $1, whatever. They've all, like 4 people have gotten their dogs back from Tioga. And I've lived here my whole life. And I'm thinking we need to just put this dog thing to rest because it doesn't seem to work. Because we go through people so fast. And it's hard on a dog. I know you guys think they're just animals and they don't know crap, but they do. And they get attached. But you know, I mean, they get attached. And you keep switching people, that's gotta be hard on them. I don't care what any expert.
It was
says.
pretty rough for him to leave
Yeah.
in 4 months, yes.
Yeah, but you know, it's still, you still bond. I'm sorry.
Right, no, absolutely.
You're 24/7, you're with that dog. I would never give up my dog for an officer. But I'm just saying that just to say that our protocol has been to sell the dogs back to.
So you understand the last scenario with the canine was completely different than this scenario, correct?
This was, okay, back in, there's kind of the same scenario, but earlier in the years, in 2014.
Okay, so there was one in, what was it,
2014.
22 or 23?
I don't know that one. I'm just saying, I know 3 that I was involved with.
Okay.
And there's.
You were involved in personally?
Yes.
That was the one dog that didn't even go through, you guys gave the dog to her?
No, this is Spivey's dog. Wait. We sold him for $1 to Spivey.
It belonged to the Missouri.
Right, but they were still part of, I'm just saying,
They're
our
not, they
protocol.
weren't part of.
I don't say that they're part of the city, Abby. I'm just saying what happened back then. And that's all I'm saying. That we have been known to sell the dogs back to their owners. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yes, please, podium taken in.
Hi, my name's Taylor Long. I've lived in Tioga for about 4 years now. I have understood that Izzy has separation anxiety. What happens when her new trainer leaves and she goes to a new handler and he doesn't have kids or dogs or another wife at home, and the same situation happens with Walker where he has to take her everywhere. She's gonna have to adjust to that again and again and again with,
I can actually answer that. So,
what's another question?
well,
But go ahead.
I'm still gonna answer it. So, according to the trainer and the West Fargo police chief, he flat out said that he would not sell a dog with separation anxiety. None of us have witnessed the separation anxiety. She seems very fine.
And I get where you're at. Just go ahead, please finish your statement.
So dogs with separation anxiety, yeah, sure, she wasn't diagnosed or whatever, but she's still a puppy. She's 2 years old. She's with another dog and she's with kids, which she's more gonna like not have as much anxiety. But when she goes to another handler that doesn't have that and she's not used to that, that anxiety is just gonna cycle right back. And she's gonna end up getting depressed and end up losing her ability to work. It's going to affect her and Tioga hugely.
So let me just make sure I understand this correct. Do you think it's best for us to have to walk her right now to avoid any issues?
Kind of.
Okay,
Well,
so what about when Walker has to go to work a 12-hour shift and the dog has to stay home by themselves?
if she ends up staying
I
with
can
Walker,
answer that.
I'm asking her, hold on, Walker.
Okay.
if she ends up staying with her, or with him, sorry, she's gonna become more prone to, hey, he's not abandoning me. He's gonna come home eventually. It's going to take a bit, obviously, but she's gonna get used to that. If you switch her from handler to handler to handler, she's not gonna understand that. And she thinks that everybody's just gonna her.
I understand.
Okay, and one more thing. You guys keep talking about her like she's an object. Like
She's
she's a tool,
she's a
she's
police
a
officer.
pet.
She's a police officer.
Yes, she is a dog. She
Yeah.
has feelings. She has emotions.
She does. She's a police officer, yes.
Yes, and taking her away from person to person to person is also going to affect her. She's going to go into depression, and I don't think you guys are grasping that. She's not a thing that you can just go to person to person to person.
We're hoping not to do that.
So put her with Walker, and you won't have to do that. He's willing to pay pay for her. You guys can take the money and get a new dog.
He doesn't have the money.
Okay.
Yeah, we can set up a
You guys,
fundraiser.
it come from a grant.
You understand that, correct? That the money came from a grant?
The money came from a grant.
Yes, make a fundraiser. I guarantee you, there's plenty of people that will give money to help Walker pay for his dog.
Thank you. Walker, you had a statement real quick?
Yeah, I can speak on the whole when I'm gone for a 12-hour shift.
Hold on, everybody was applauding, we couldn't hear you.
So I could speak on the fact of when you said that I have to go to a 12-hour shift. Currently I am on at what's called an admin thing for the first month. So for the next 30 days, I am working a 8 to 5 job with an hour break. I could come home on my noon lunch hour and spend time with her. And then at 5 o'clock, I'm home for the rest of the night. I'll be honest, I don't have a social life. I don't go out. I would be with her the entirety of the time. And what you all don't know is that my girlfriend lives with me, or she will live with me here in about a month. She said she was going to be moving in here soon. So while she will be here while I'm at work. So the answer to your question is she will not always be alone while I am gone.
Okay. All right. Does the commission, or does the board have any other questions? I take the silence as a no.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. All right. Is there any kind of emotion on the floor?
You know, as tough as it is, you know, Walker, I really feel for you. I wish you would have handled this whole thing different. You know, it was just too late to, you know, to try to backtrack and figure this out. You know, I agree that the dog really is part of the police department here and dog should stay here.
Okay. Is there a motion at all?
That's my motion.
Does the dog stay? Okay. Is there a second on the motion that Tim?
I will second.
Okay, with a motion and a second, no questions, comments, or concerns from the board, we'll move to vote.
Yes.
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 Sorry, Walker. Motion moves. Okay. Item number 7, gaming site authorization. This is for the Tioga Sunrise Hotel LLC. Regarding pull tabs and electronic pull tabs. Everybody had an opportunity to review that? All right. Everybody's had an opportunity to review the gaming site authorization, motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, with the motion and to approve, no questions, comments, concerns from the board, we'll move to vote.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so moves. Next will be the, ordinance 2024-01 update, chapter 20, trees, first reading.
Liz, do you want to read that?
I can, Abby. I think I'm gonna have to go to the old one in my packet. I have 2 of the foul attachments, but I don't have the trees. So let me search for a different email here real quick. A different packet. There we are. One moment. Sorry, almost there.
Abby, Liz.
Liz, I'll read it.
Okay, perfect. If you have a hard copy, I'll do the other one for you. Sorry, I have the animal and foul, but I don't have that one.
Number 2024-01, ordinance supplementing and amending
Chapter 20 trees of Tioga ordinance and ordinance governing trees be ordained by the city commission of the city of Tioga, North Dakota as follows. Chapter 20 on trees. Article 1, trees. Was added, before any person may plant a tree boulevard public way, he shall obtain prior authorization or permit from the city of Tioga Community Service Director. The trees that can be planted and the location for the shall be determined by the city of Tioga in accordance with the standards established by the city commission following the guidelines of NDSU, North Dakota Forest Service recommended trees for North Dakota communities. Trees shall be planted on the center line between the curb line at the front edge of the sidewalk where the sidewalk does not exist. A 5-foot allowance will be made along the property line to accommodate future sidewalk construction. In no case shall a tree be planted within 3 feet of the curb line. All trees planted hereafter on the boulevard of the city shall be planted by and at the expense of the owner abutting lands thereon. Such trees not planted or provided for under 20.0103.4 will be removed at owner's expense.
We don't need a motion or anything on that, it's just the first reading. All right, next one is gonna be 2024, huh? Okay. I'm sorry, is there a motion for that one?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, with a motion and a second to approve the first, questions, comments, from the board, will you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so moves. Next one's gonna be 2024-02, update chapter 10, animal and fowl proceeding.
I have that one in front of me, guys. I'll read ordinance number 2024-02, an ordinance supplementing and amending chapter 10, quote, animal and fowl, end quote, of the city of Tioga ordinance, and ordinance governing animals and fowl, be it ordained by the city of Tioga, North Dakota as follows. Chapter 10, animal and fowl. Article 1, dogs and cats. 10.0102, raising and keeping animals generally. It shall be unlawful to keep any live animal within the city limits except as described in this article. Number 1, the following animals may be kept within the city limits of Tioga. A, domestic dogs and cats pursuant to the provisions of this chapter. B, common indoor pets such as aquarium fish, non-poisonous reptiles, amphibians, and other common indoor pets and animals such as hamsters, mice, birds, which animals shall remain indoors at the owner's residence or business, and up to 2 pet rabbits and their offspring until the offspring are not dependent upon the mature animal for survival, which rabbits may be kept in an outdoor hutch and pen, which is sanitary and kept odor-free. C, a horse, mule, jackass, goat, or other animal kept as a family pet may be kept within the following zoning districts: agricultural, provided that there is a minimum of 1 acre available for the first 4 animal units and no more than 1 additional animal per acre unit of land over 5 acres. The city commission by resolution may allow temporary or seasonal keeping of animals or livestock when the city commission determines it is in the best interest of the city to allow such keeping of animals within the city limits for a seasonal or temporary duration not to exceed 6 months. E, city commission may by resolution after notice to property owners within 150 feet of the applicant's property and after public hearing allow the use of agriculture, property for livestock purposes on such conditions as the commission deems appropriate. It must be stated in the resolution that such use is of lower priority and may be terminated by the commission at any time, and the commission shall terminate such use if any problem with health, safety, odor, or noise develops, regardless of the fact that adjacent or surrounding development moves to an area where such use is being allowed. F, any animal for exhibition or display purposes such as fairs, circuses, animals, displays, or special exhibitions, which displays or expeditions do not exceed 7 days annually, including the use of horses or other trained animals in parades. G, permitted fowl shall mean chickens, parentheses, roosters shall not be allowed, end parens, ducks, doves, pigeons, or quails are permitted pursuant to this section. An individual may maintain, keep, or house permitted fowl for non-industrial, non-commercial purposes within the city limits in residential zones R1, R2A, and R2M only, subject to the following limitations and conditions. First condition, the individual has obtained and provided the city from all owners of real property located within 50 feet of the exterior real property boundary line of the property where such permitted fowl will be maintained, kept, or housed. The individual has applied for and maintained a permit from the community service director or director's designee for the permitted fowl. In his or her determination of whether to issue such a permit, the director or designee shall consider the impact of noise, odor, sanitation, and the public health, safety, and welfare upon neighboring properties, the neighborhood, and the city. The total number of fowl that may be maintained, kept, or housed at any one location shall not exceed 8. A permit issued in accordance with this section shall expire on December 31 of the year in which such permit is issued and may be biannually, every other year, renewed, and provided the requirements of limitations and conditions set forth in this section as satisfied. The director or designee may revoke or suspend any permit issued under this article when it is determined that any of the requirements, limitations, or conditions for the issuance of a permit are no longer complied with, or it is determined the maintenance of permitted fowl has become a public nuisance as described in section 10.0205. Except as otherwise provided in this article, any person who owns or keeps at any time within the city limits any unauthorized fowl of any kind shall be deemed guilty of maintaining a public nuisance of such fowl if it is not removed from the city within 10 days after notice. Each day's continuance of such a nuisance shall be considered a separate offense. 10.0205 nuisance, win, and penalties. Number 1. The animals exhibiting the following behavior shall be considered a nuisance. A, excessive, continuous, or untimely barking, howling, braying, crowing, or other sounds common to its species, or by reason of failure of the owner to maintain all structures, pens, coops, or yards wherein any animal or fowl is kept in a clean, sanitary condition, devoid of rodents, vermin, and free from all objectionable odors. B, molesting passersby. C, chasing vehicles. D, habitually attacking domestic animals. E, trespassing upon school grounds or trespassing upon private property. F, damaging property by dog or cat is hereby declared to be a nuisance. G, not having a valid license or collar. H, dog or cat droppings in private or public places. 2, the owner of a dog, cat, fowl, or any other pet permitted in this chapter that is a violation of this section may be cited for an infraction upon receipt of a signed complaint, or if the violation was in view of an animal warden and or police officer. The penalties for such violation are as follows. First offense, $50 fine. B, second offense, a $100 fine. C, third offense, $150 fine. D, fourth offense, said animal shall be forfeited to the city and shall be entered in an adoption program if applicable, or humanely destroyed. Dated this blank day of blank, city of Tioga, and prepared for readings and signatures.
All right, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. All right, with a motion and a second to approve the first reading, no questions, comments, or concerns from the board, we'll do the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, so moved. Next is gonna be a quote for the community center sign. This is, it says, indigo signs, provide and install one double-faced full color message center on a sign pole structure with, pitch mark pole cover for approved design. You guys had an opportunity to review that?
Yeah.
If anybody in the audience would like to see it, I'll be more than happy to show you. Looks like the quote is $92,995 and in that wrong.
Oh,
I'm not good with numbers, but really,
$25,000 less. They're very expensive signs. The one at the theater, pretty hefty price too, and that one's just a wall sign. The reason why the wall sign won't work is because you can't see it from the street. People are coming.
if there's a giant building they can see, so.
Clarifications, what kind of sign is this? Little video board? Is it we're gonna stick the letters up there with a giant pole?
but we're gonna have you stand out
Can
there
you-
with sticks.
I know I'm tall, but I don't wanna do that. So if you can just clarify
That falls into other duties as described.
Yeah.
So you can put events on whatever.
You can put whatever is happening. They just are very expensive and, I know it's sticker shock, but it is $20,000 less than the original quote.
What was that price again?
91,000.
No, 92,995, so $5 short of $93,000. But it is 5,000 less than the other quote of a flat sign against the building.
No, the flat sign against the building is 7. But it would be on the building.
Right. Okay, is there a motion on the floor?
Can I ask, is this a complete necessity for the community center? I don't understand. I mean, is it something we could
If
do?
you guys can postpone it at a later time, you guys say no to it. It's totally up to you guys.
That's a lot, that's a lot. It's, and we don't even have the extension.
Can,
It's up to you guys, like I said, it's not.
let,
That's the
you guys are the voting members, I would table this until we can get some more research done on it, because maybe we can put it in the middle of the traffic circle. Not too soon. I think we should table it and come back and visit this again, because I got a lot of questions that I can't get answered right now. Where did we get this? Did this come from the community center? Did this come from? Or who,
This was a proposal even before
I know,
the community center
this
expansion.
was a long
Yeah,
time. So,
it's a long time.
Um,
So, they just sent.
That could be my.
I would like to table it so we can get some questions.
I'll make a motion to table.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second to table it. No questions, comments from the board. We'll move on.
Yes.
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 All right, so moves, that's tabled. Okay, next one is gonna be, probationary or 90-day evaluation for, Officer Oster.
I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, with a motion and a second, no questions, comments from the board. We'll move on.
Yes.
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 All right, so moved. Okay. Last one. Next one is going to be, snow out signs. Okay, it just has a value of $2,839.48. Everything is super blurry, so I can't see how many.
It's 54 cents.
54 cents, okay. Like I said, all I can see is the price and it says snow route signs. Questions, comments, concerns regarding that? If not, can I have a motion?
This is all in stop signs and everything too, or what?
So this should be
No,
the,
this is with snow because you have to put them on the snow routes.
But how many do you say?
Yeah.
54.
Before.
But they have to be a certain amount of business. According to North Dakota.
Right, is there a motion to it?
for the 90,000, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, with a motion and a second, no questions, comments, concerns on the board, we'll vote.
Yes.
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 All right, next is be the consent agenda, which is gonna be payroll February 7th, 2024, financials January 2024.
I'll make the motion. Accepted.
Okay, got a motion and a second. No questions, comments, concerns on the board, we'll vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
All right, it is 8,
A second.
all right. No questions, comments, concerns on the board, we'll vote.
Yes.
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 All right, meeting is adjourned at 8:49, thank you.